The views and opinions expressed by the guests on the following program do not necessarily represent those of Mark Radio, The Shepherd, or its advertisers.
From the studios of the Shepherd Radio Network, it's Afternoons with Mike. This next hour is all about our walk with Jesus, with local pastors, newsmakers, people who are making a difference for the gospel. Now, here is your host, Mike Gilland.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Afternoons with Mike right here on the Shepherd Radio Network. And on the line with me, making another return appearance, a guy that I've just come to love. Kevin McGary is the founder of Every Black Life Matters, and the co-founder, I should say, he along with Neil Mammon. And they are busy all the time kind of bringing awareness to this woke culture that we all find ourselves living in. Kevin, welcome back to the program.
Good. Thank you for having me again, Mike. Man, it's surely a pleasure to be on again. And I just want to thank you again for extending to me an invitation to come and just chop it up with you a little bit. So I appreciate that. Well,
you do a great job, and I know you're very busy with all the things that you guys are doing, you and Neil both. Neil's been on my program as well. And you guys always you're right on, I believe, the cutting edge of what we all need to be hearing and what we can be doing as citizens, as believers, as people who are kind of in one way. I still believe the vast majority of Americans are kind of in shock and awe at the crazy things that it's coming out of our government right now. The most recent of which would be Kamala Harris's declarations that hurricane aid from the government is going to be coming to people of color and those that are in need of equity. And for those in Florida, that's just an insane kind of way of politicizing the tragedy that's hit with Hurricane Ian. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. So here's the thing. As a loving, altruistic, compassionate country, we need to be consistent. And consistency means that we can't allow the demonism of wokism to enter into how we take care of people. In other words, people that need medical care. And wokism has definitely entered into that realm as well. Nor can we allow it to dictate really how we take care of people in times of emergency. So when we see things like this, I'm glad that she's being called out on it. She is an unmitigated disaster. Yes, I said that. And even as a black man, yes, I said that. Because I stand for righteousness, justice, truth, and faithfulness. And she doesn't represent anything I stand for. As a matter of fact, she is an abhorrent individual. And I think her votes prior to dropping out indicates how people feel about her. So it's terrible that she said those things. It's terrible that, she's actually put our government now to have to backtrack and try to correct her insane insinuations. And I'm hopeful that the people on the ground there in Florida completely ignore her craziness at this point. But who knows? Wokeism is a pervasive, demonic spirit and scheme, and it is everywhere. So we have to be vigilant as it relates to wokeism.
Again, I go back, I couldn't agree with you more on that. I think it is demonic. A lot of what we hear, it's seemingly now on a daily basis, it just sounds so nuts that it would appear that reason has kind of gone out of style in America's thoughts, because this makes no sense at all. And it is more divisive right now than one would ever believe. I go back, Kevin, thinking about President Obama's inaugural, actually not the inauguration speech, that too, but even before that, and his acceptance speech the night of the election, where he was clear that he was going to become the next president. He talked about an end to the divisiveness of this country. He kind of made that as almost a promise or a platform for that beginning new term. And yet when we fast forward now to all these years later, past two terms with him, one with President Trump, and now we're well into President Biden's term, we seem more divided in our country than ever.
Absolutely, we are, because, what happens is people who are driven by ideology, and President Obama was one of those, who his primary focus and ideology was Marxism. And I don't think, we can debate that back and forth, but I don't think, I have so much evidence of that. It's just manifest. It's not even debatable. But, for those who may or may not, it doesn't matter. So, but what happens with people who are driven by ideology, they'll say or do anything to get to get in office, to get that ultimate power. And then once they get there, they can easily transition or transform their opinions. And we saw a number of times where Obama did that, as it relates to marriage, as it relates to so many different things.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
he completely flipped on that, didn't he?
Oh yeah. He said what he had to say to get in office, and that was, his sort of clever way. I had sincere prayers that he would have followed through on that, but he didn't. And we are where we are because those who have come in, and especially in his party, who have come in after him, are doubling down on the ideology of Marxism, which is wholly demonic. It's not even questionable. And so now we are where we are in culture and society. And, wokism, of course, is rooted and undergirded by Marxism to the nth degree. And so wokism is just part and parcel of one of the schemes of Marx, and we see it being carried out by Marxist revolutionaries today.
And you see that not only in just the general statements about wokeism that's coming out from schools, but are these splinter groups like Black Lives Matter, it's there as well. One of their platforms would be the whole embracing of the LGBTQ community, and those terms are ever changing, aren't they?
Well, yeah, LGBTQ, RXC,
plus.
They put S on there, and so it's subtle. Some people didn't even realize that there's an S, as in Sam, that is right now on the back end of that alphabet soup. So, what does the S stand for? Literally, it stands for Satanism. Now, some people say, no, it's two-spirit. It's a two-spirit thing. Yeah. As I said, it stands for Satanism. I mean, come on, what are you talking about? So, so S is actually a part and parcel of that. And really the Church of Satan said, look, we are the ones who provide the value to LGBTQ, saying that you can be all that you want to be. Therefore, we should be a part of the acronyms that are part of the LGBTQ+. So that just happened in the past few weeks. You can do your own research, but S, as in Sam, is also now one of the alphabets.
I had not even heard that yet, Kevin. So you're giving us some breaking news on this program. That is shocking. I can't say it's surprising, but it is shocking, yet even still, even though we see our country going in this direction, every time it breaches a new territory or comes out with something else that is just unthinkable, it does somewhat shock me. And I think, what is the ending point of all of this? Well, we all know that if it is unmitigated Marxism, that's pretty clear what the end point will be. It will be totalitarian control from those that are in charge.
That's exactly right. So the end point is, so a lot of people are not aware. They think Marx was kind of a benign character in history. Yeah, he had some crazy economic philosophies, never worked, and blah, blah, blah. So they give him a pass. Here's what I want all your people, anybody listening to you and your network, are obviously people of faith. So here's the thing that I want you all to recognize. Marx, in all of his writings, said, look, my economic, social philosophies and all that, that's fine. But really my ultimate goal in life, this is Karl Marx, is to dethrone God. He was virulently hateful. And it wasn't like, well, I'm kind of deist, I'm kind of, agnostic. No. He was virulently hateful of God. And his number one goal in life was to dethrone God. And so if you embrace Marxism even a little, if you say, well, socialism is kind of okay, please repent, because it is demonic to the core, and it is destined, it's designed to dethrone God. That's according to its author, not me, according to its author. So.
That's right. It's not just those interpreting his works. That's coming from him himself. I mean, it's pretty clear when you look at the directions that our government has taken, that they are following suit with that direction, and they're aiming at really persecution toward so many of them. In California, I think what's going on, and that's kind of where you are, right?
That's exactly right. Sure.
So you're in California under Newsom. We are hearing here in Florida almost daily things that are new directions that the government has taken. We know right now he's trying to make California to be a destination state for abortion. And that appears to be kind of going that way out there.
Absolutely. So here's the thing that Newsom is doing here. First of all, yesterday when I had the unmitigated goal to try to fill up my car, I realized that our gas in California accelerated over $1.30 a gallon in the past 10 days.
Wow.
So extreme. So it was $6.99, folks.
Oh no.
$7 a gallon.
Oh my
$7. So, enjoy your Christmas in Florida, because I'm telling you what, here in California and other states that are embracing the green dreams and the malfeasance of demons like our governor here, we're under assault daily. The other thing that he's done is he's made California a destination state for those who cannot get abortions in their state. He's encouraging, and he's already got a number of corporations that are going to pay as well into a fund, make sure they bring people here, give them abortions, and transition our children. So there's a lot of states that are coming out with legislation against the trans movement for children, for babies.
And that without giving the parents any say in the matter, right?
That's exactly right. And he's saying, no, bring them to California. We don't care what the parents say. We're gonna, give them their transition here, and we'll give them shelter and cover and whatever they need. And so we are pressing the accelerator down on sheer demonism. What gets me about California, and I know a number of pastors, and especially pastors of color, quote unquote, so to speak, here in California. And I told them many, many years ago, when this demon tried to run for office as governor, I reminded them that he was the one that unleashed same-sex marriage across the country. Of course, Massachusetts was first, but he doubled down and unleashed it. Even though we passed Prop 8, he basically spit in the face of the church, and he was the one. And I reminded these pastors. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. And I think we all have to come to grips with this, okay? There are some people that truly do worship at the altar of the cross. There are many, many, many amongst us that worship at the altar of political party, and especially the Democratic Party. So when you have clear demons running for office, they'll just go all in. They just completely reject their faith foundation, or their, whatever, and they'll just continue to vote for these crazy people. And then they have the audacity to complain. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, wait a minute, this is what you voted for, because you voted for your party where you worship. Your first love is clearly your party, and this is how you voted. And now you're complaining? I told you, I warned you about this. Yeah, but Kev, man, this is crazy. Well, come on. I mean, what am I supposed to do? This is what you voted for, Doc. Come on now.
Yeah, that's right.
So
we can't be surprised.
We have so many people in the body of Christ that are so messed up right now.
Yeah.
And don't get me on that track, because I can go on forever on that one. I used to think that the Bible was sufficient. I used to think that the cross was sufficient, and I still think so.
Okay, I'm glad you had me worried there for a moment, Kevin.
I still think so. But there are many amongst us that do not. No. And they can say whatever they want with their lips. their actions dictate
right.
their heart. And so, the cross is more than sufficient. What Jesus did is more than sufficient. We just don't have people that will stand with us and agree with us on that one. So.
Well, it's going to be a very tough situation on our country if some of this direction is not reversed, if we don't get leaders that are coming in. I know there are great, ivoters.com is a great website that's put out. I know that what you and Neil do is that you are trying to do teaching to people that would be from and through the lens of a biblical worldview. That is really a call to wake up, that we have so much to lose in this country if we don't wake up. And if we don't look at this, if we don't start fighting this wokism that's going on. I know that in our next segment here, I'm going to have you tell us about some of the things that you are doing to do just that. But one of the areas that we've kind of touched on when you talked about our children, and not just young children, but our kids that are going off into colleges, they're going off into these universities that are just basically hotbeds for teaching this very thing that we're fighting against right now. Isn't that right?
Well, yeah. So college campuses, regrettably, have turned into, really, this is where they get fully indoctrinated. They're indoctrination camps. But except now they started at kindergarten. So, I mean, the indoctrination starts at kindergarten. It fully accelerates when we send our children to college. I mean, they really try to completely debase our children, get them completely separated from the any kind of Judeo-Christian ethic they may still have, and they complete the surgery, if you will, in college. And so it's what we're up against are forces that are destined. They are committed to completely corrupting the hearts and minds of our children, and make them God resistant. I actually did an article on that a little bit ago, about a month ago, that the whole scheme of the enemy is to make our children and subsequent generations God resistant.
Wow.
Yeah. And
talk about a vaccination.
You know how we just have child resistant.
Yeah.
You know how we have child resistant caps, and they're trying to put a God resistant cap on our children.
That is so sad and so unbelievable to think about. My guest for these two segments, we're going to be back with him for one more segment, is Kevin McGary, and we'll be back with Kevin in a moment. Don't go away. This is Afternoons with Mike.
Are you looking for the right franchise to open your own business? Green Flag Franchise has the experience and knowledge to help match your business plan with your goals and values. Is your business ready to become a franchise? Green Flag Franchise will help you explore the potential and benefits of franchising your existing company. For a free consultation and coaching, visit greenflagfranchise.com. That's greenflagfranchise.com.
Palm Beach Atlantic University Orlando offers 3 distinct areas of study: an evening Master's of Science in Clinical Mental Health Counseling, an evening Bachelor's of Science in Human Services, and our new daytime Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. All of our courses are offered at our beautiful campus on Millennia Boulevard. For more information or to schedule a tour, call 844-PBA-ORLANDO. That's 844-PBA-ORLANDO.
Turning 65 or already on Medicare? Have you tried to compare Medicare supplement plans? Are you sick and tired of the awful TV commercials where washed-up football players confuse you even more? Speak with a licensed independent insurance agent today. Call 407-965-4166 now, or visit Affordable One Insurance in Winter Park, Florida, and discuss what is important for you. Be sure to ask us about dedicated senior medical centers.
On the line with me today is Kevin McGary. He is the co-founder of Every Black Life Matters, and a real leading proponent in our country's fight from a biblical perspective, this fight against the demonic nature of what we're talking about today being termed wokism. It is just out and out Marxism that is not only being taught to our kids in college campuses, as Kevin so rightly said, it's being introduced now to children as young as kindergarten in public schools. We know this for a fact now. We've talked about CRT. This whole thing it's like a collusion. That's the word that we heard so much about with President Trump and Russia, and that was proven to be. It was never proven to be, let's put it that way. There was never evidence that there was collusion. But Kevin, wouldn't you agree? There's all sorts of evidence of collusion in this regard from our school systems, from our government, from our universities. Is that not the case?
Absolutely. We see CCP collusion at every level of government, every level of education. CCP would be the communist Chinese.
Yes.
Communist Chinese. So we see that. We see collusion with our National Education Foundation for Teachers, and they're fully colluding to make sure that they include the trans, BLM and Planned Parenthood actually did a collaboration on a lot of this curriculum that's trans related. They want to make sure they collude starting at kindergarten so those children can begin to start to question God and what he did and whether indeed God made a mistake when he made them at the youngest possible ages. There's collusions at all phases of government now. While we had President Trump that was trying to end the demonic collusions within our government and our three-letter agencies, make sure they didn't partake in racist trainings. We have now a guy in the office. Now, he's not really fully there. We all know that. But the people behind him are pushing these agendas within every area of government, every sphere that they have any influence on. They're pushing this racist tropes and trainings and collusions to manifest, to bring about a full-on Marxist totalitarian tyranny here in America. Now, some people say, well, that's hyperbolic, brother. You don't know. Listen, did you see what happened at Mar-a-Lago? Have you seen what happened with Mike Lindell? Doesn't matter whether you like these people personally or not. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about the tactics strictly, purely. If you can disconnect your emotions for a minute and think about it practically, you will see what we have now is not freedom. It is not First Amendment. It is not Second Amendment freedoms. It is totalitarian. We have already, in my opinion, transformed into a Marxist government. That's my opinion. Yeah. And I can point to a number of areas why it's not fully manifested, but it's manifested enough for a free society to be able to make the distinction.
I think you're right. I think in a lot of pockets of America, with that, as somebody once said on my program, they've crossed the Rubicon. We've crossed the Rubicon as a nation. We're at that point where it's functionally, if it's not declared in every state, which it's not, but it is functionally in a lot of states already there. You're right. When you look at what happened in California, even in 2020, with pastors being arrested for having church services when strip joints and liquor stores were considered to be essential, pastors and churches were shut down and arrested. Yeah, so you're right. I think you're right, and it is nothing but scary. And then with all of the stuff that's going on from the government, I don't know if you saw this clip that was out this morning that I don't know how old it is, but the president is shown talking about how to really get prepared. Here we are in Florida, as you know, we've just gone through all of Hurricane Ian, and just so many areas of our state so devastated with it. But the president is on saying that what we must do to be prepared for storms like Ian is to be vaccinated. That's his statement that's out.
Oh my goodness, that is so crazy.
That's the number one thing we need to do. We need to be vaccinated.
And coming from a guy like that who only has, half of his horses or left or less left in his brain, that's probably par for the course. Yeah, I see it.
I am so saddened by this, and there's so much being said about the president. I find it to be incredibly sad. But what is even more sad than his state of whatever state that is, whatever faculties he may or may not have, what is more sad than that is the state of our country.
Absolutely, because we need somebody with all the horses running right now, making decisions, not people who are just half there. And so we have to continue to pray for America. We have to continue to pray for our government and our leaders. I encourage people, look, we may feel whatever we feel about our current government, but look, these people need the Lord just as much as any other. We need to continue to pray and intercede for them.
We do.
And ask God's, grace to be upon this country, because we are in a bad way right now.
Hey, Kevin, I know you believe this with all your heart, that we're to be not just hearers of the word, but we are to be doers of the word as well. And that's really what you're doing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what your efforts are to help address, attack, if you will, this whole thing of wokism? What are you guys doing?
Well, here's the thing. The first thing that I did was I started another book just a few months ago. The name of it is Woked Up, WOKED Up. You can get it on Amazon. Just type in Woked Up, McGary, McGary. That book is called Woked Up. The subtitle is Finally Putting an Axe to the Taproot of White Supremacy and Racism in America. So fundamentally what it does is it fully confirms, unequivocally and without a doubt, it's not even debatable, it fully confirms that wokeism is fully rooted in white supremacy and racism. So wokesters can be as woke as they want, but the reality is they are the ones. While they point the fingers at white Christian nationalists, white evangelicals, privilege, and you're all, just white supremacists. Okay, here's the deal. They are by definition. This is not one ad hominem in response to another ad hominem. This is literal, by definition. The book fully discloses it with lots of footnotes, private letters, all kinds of stuff for you to fully quantify it to your woke friends, family, neighbors, or whatever, and help them. These people need help to come along to the truth. The reality is what they're embracing is white supremacist and racist. And it's not debatable. It is unequivocal.
Now, on that point, would you agree with this, that so many of the things that we're hearing from the administration, accusing Republicans, accusing other conservative people, whether they're Republicans or not, accusing them of things, isn't it an axiom of truth almost that the things they are saying that are being done by conservatives are actually the very things that they are doing already? Absolutely.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. As they point the fingers, they are the ones. They are the real culprits. It's really a deflection and projection that they've mastered. Unfortunately, these people are masterful at deflection and projection. But the reality is, if you understood, if you studied, if you got the book, you'll be able to point to exactly when, where, and how white supremacy was unleashed on America. And it was unleashed by one person in its modern context. And when and how, where, and how racism was unleashed, and it was unleashed by one person in its modern context. And you'll be able to find that taproot in all of the subsequent roots pointing to and fully enveloped within wokeism. And it's unequivocal. So that's the first thing that we're doing. For your listeners, please go out and get the book. It's very, very important. Gives you chapter and verse, everything you need to fully quantify our positions. Number two, we are going out. You know how Kendi has this, how to be an anti-racist, and we have now a cottage industry of these leftist, progressive, Marxist, racists who go out to these organizations and say, look, we'll give you anti-racism training. We'll give you, white fragility training, whatever. So in response to that, because all of those trainings are ideologically based in Marxism in and of itself is racist. It's unequivocal. And so therefore, how can you talk about how to be an anti-racist while in full embrace of racist ideologies? Essentially, at the end of the day, everybody's who takes that training are even more divided, more distrusting, more disunited than they were before any of that started. So what we're doing is we're actually providing training, fully quantifying racism and supremacy, and we're going to the roots of it. We call it RAZIST training, RAZIST. Now, if you're familiar with construction sites, you're familiar with buildings, large structures, when they want to completely demolish, implode, get rid of all the foundations, completely eradicate those buildings, what do? They raise those buildings, R-A-Z-E. That's what we need to do with racism and white supremacy. And so we have training specifically dedicated to raise racism. And we are going to be training and then certifying a generation of hell raisers, R-A-Z-E-R-S, people that are adept at identifying hellish schemes like racism and getting after it and actually doing something about it, fully demolishing it from its roots. So that's what we're doing. Our first foray will be in San Diego. If you have people that are listening and they have people in Southern California or in the West Coast and they want to come out, that training will be free. It's no charge. Just come. We'll partake in the 5 modules we'll be delivering on October 29th at Awaken Church in San Diego. 9 to 5 on that day, and all the other information is on our website, everyblm.com, everyblm.com. And then and you will be certified. And so when your employer says, hey, we have to do racial, anti-racist, whatever, you say, look, I've taken this training for every Black Life Matters. I've been certified in these modules. I've had a number of hours in training with these individuals, and I'm good. Why subject yourself to being called a white supremacist, subject yourself to being castigated in these ideologically, politically charged environments that are purportedly anti-racism training, but fundamentally they're just beat up sessions, if you will. If you happen to not have the right paint job, you're basically set up on by everybody in the room. So we're going to do something about that. We have an alternative. And again, our first foray out is at the end of October. Glad to have any of your listeners attend. You can get information from our website if you want to figure that out.
What kind of pushback do you anticipate from the government there and from those in your state that would be against what you're doing?
Well, you're going to be against every Black Life Mattering. You're going to be against somebody that really wants to deal with racism from the roots. You would be hard pressed. So we haven't had any pushback whatsoever.
That's great.
Because we speak truth. It's hard to try to figure out how to undercut or undermine our efforts, because again, we're every Black Life Matters. Every single Black Life Matters.
So you've positioned yourself in a real way where even those people that would be against the root, if you will, that you're trying to put the axe to, you've positioned yourself in such a way that you've taken away their ability to argue with you.
Well, at least at the moment we haven't. And after you go through our training, you'll be able to see. It's just not even arguable. We're talking about facts. We're talking about truth. We're talking about exactly what happened. Everybody should appreciate this training and certification. That's why our training certification is not at all left, right, Republican, Democrat, conservative. Look, it's anybody and everybody. It's not ideological. We should be able to just come together as people and just learn from one another and reason together. And that's what we're doing. And it just so happens that we're exposing the taproot of all this stuff. And everybody should appreciate that.
Well, I think it's awesome that you're doing this right in the backyard of Governor Newsom, and I'm grateful for that. Those of us in the what often is called the free state of Florida applaud what you're doing, Kevin. And I thank you for the courage that you and Neil show on a regular basis. And that you're just you're really proving that there's a way out if you take it, but we're going to have to wake up and get woked up, as you said. Give us your website and how people can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. Please get in touch with us, everyblm.com, everyblm.com. And there's ways you can support us there. There's ways you can partner with us. You can just join and make sure you get all of our emails and newsletters. Just go to the site and pray about, participating however way you can.
And
we are committed to being at the tip of the spear. We relish that position. We understand that depending on your pay job, a lot of people feel powerless to really do anything about culture. Neil and I are in it to win it for you. So we'll put ourselves out there. We'll do whatever it takes to guarantee or to help secure your progeny, your children, grandchildren, your communities. And we are the tip of the spear, and anything that you can do to help us to maintain that position would be greatly appreciated. Partner with us, pray for us, whatever.
And this is, just to be clear, in case we had somebody join us and they heard that address and they're confusing it with the Black Lives Matter, that would be the other side. That is not what we're talking about here. It's Every Black Life Matters, and that's the organization. I just want to make sure there's no confusion on that at all.
Absolutely. Every Black Life Matters is our organization. We are the exact opposite of BLM. And you go to the website, you'll see that everything that BLM stands for, we are the exact opposite. We are the righteous and faithful alternative to Black Lives Matter.
I believe it. Kevin McGary, it's always a joy to have you on, and I look forward to our next time of being together, my friend.
God bless you, Brother Mike. I really appreciate you.
Okay, and we'll be back in a moment, friends. This is Afternoons with Mike.